like a hospital. The staff members there, who are, many of them are regular meditators, greet us with that smile and that sense of service that's really true from their heart. So that I feel, doesn't make you feel like you are in a hospital being treated, and I feel both the soul and the body is getting treated. So the reason why I share about the Global Hospital is also we have another organization here, which is recently in 2017 it started. It's called the Australian Friends for Global Hospital. And what this organization does is it supports the services of Global Hospital by coming together with their expertise and also sponsoring many of the equipment and projects that the hospital needs. They have done some amazing work by, purchasing a blood cell counter machine, a patient care fund, ICU and four-wheel drive ambulance, eye surgery equipment, and the list goes on. So, along with being this hospital, it also provides a lot of outreach and community services. They have doctors going down to the tribal areas, and you can imagine in India, not everything is well connected from where that location is, in Mount Abu. It's 200 kilometers from the metropolitan city, and within that too, the tribal areas are much further away from there. So they do some great work in making the healthcare services accessible to all. And part of that is also education on nutrition and many, many programs. I'll be here this evening if I continue to share the list. So I want to give you a little feel for it by sharing a short video. So now, without taking more of your time, I want to invite our main chief guest for this evening, who is the director of this hospital, Dr. Pratap, to please come on the stage. Thank you. So along with being the director of this beautiful place, he's also the vice president of the medical wing of Raj Yoga Education and Research Center. He's the member of the Brahma Kumari's Management Committee. And recently he was awarded by the Sanskrit Yuva Sanstha of Rajasthan in France. This award was the Bharat Gaurav Award, which is, one of the very prestigious awards for his services that in the healthcare that he provides. He's been instrumental, so I've only talked about one hospital, but he's also been instrumental in starting 4 sister hospitals, 2 clinics, and 3 I think I'm getting the translation through the speaker. I was wondering whether someone was talking or what was going on. We'll just give them a second to sort that out. Done? Excellent, thank you. Home and nursing school and colleges. So wonderful to have you join us today, Dr. Pratap. I'm going to invite Sister Chris to come and welcome him with a special bouquet of flowers from all of us. And Sister Chris is one of our coordinating team members of this beautiful center at Vichar. And you are in for a real treat. We really wanted to give you the best and the richest of experience today. And so we thought, how can we even top it now with Dr. Pratap? So we realized that our brother Charlie, how many of you know Charlie? Yeah, a few hands. He also is, he's very busy traveling. So Charlie Hogg, I'll invite him to please also come on the stage. He's the national coordinator of the Brahma Kumaris Australia. And playing this role, he also supports many of our centres in Asia. So he's very busy traveling. He's already traveled to 80 countries. So when we realized he is in town and he is free this evening, we tapped into it and we said, you must also join us in this conversation. But yes, we'll start with Pratap because he's our very special guest and we want to hear about his journey tonight, and especially draw out the gems around overcoming obstacles in these challenging times. So, Dr. Pratap, I want to first start by asking, what inspired you to start this journey of service? Because as I know about you, that you were, having a very successful career in Chandigarh, India, and for you to leave that behind and to dedicate your life to serve on both of these levels, what inspired you to make the shift?
Thank you very much, and I'm very honored, and I feel so good being in your presence. And it's an amazing story. I never imagined that the hospital would grow so much. I was invited to come to Mount Abu. Yes, I love Mount Abu. I had been visiting there since 1970, and I had keen interest in meditation. So when the invitation came, I didn't think twice because I thought this is my lifetime opportunity. I was not leaving anything, but I was gaining so much. And I feel, yes, I was working with a public hospital. I was very popular there. I was in a good position. But the opportunity to serve the unserved area, an opportunity to reach out to those people which were still, for which the modern healthcare was still inaccessible. I was in a big city, but I came to a small village. Mount Abu is only 20,000 population. And what we found that people were still reluctant to use modern medicine. So it was an inspiring journey, and it enriched me myself. I feel I have gained a lot by being here, learned a lot, met so many people from across the globe. This project was started as a part of the Brahma Kumaris Global Cooperation for a Better World. That time we started a global cooperation house in London and a global museum in Nairobi and global hospital the same year was started. The emphasis was, let's give something in return to the community. We have been availing the facilities of Mount Abu. Mount Abu people are mostly into tourism industry, they are hotel industry, but we are surrounded by tribal population, Gracias and Bees. It's scattered almost maybe in an area of about 100 square kilometers, and these people were still reluctant. Today I remember one of my colleagues, Dr. Vinay Lakshmi, she took the courage to reach out to the people. And she was so passionate about that she took the first step. She started serving first the workers who were working at the site in the hospital. And then she moved on to the villages without any resources. We didn't have mobile clinics, we didn't have staff, but she took the courage and we started the outreach. I feel, it's a kind of service to the humanity, not only humanity, but to reaching out to those people who probably need the healthcare the most. And the basic thing is that you make them aware that this facility is available. So that was, I feel, I am the one who has gained the most. Didn't leave anything behind. I still feel that I made my life out of it.
Wow, that's very humble of you to feel this way. So Yeah, we're very lucky that you have, spent your life creating this. You're able to share a little bit insights. You touched on, the services that we provide to the tribal communities. I shared briefly about the 4 hospitals. Can you give us a little bit more insights into, the working of the global hospital, and from your perspective, what makes it unique, and what positions it to serve the community?
See, we did understand that when a person comes to a hospital, he comes as a whole. He doesn't come with his sickness, but he comes with all his issues and problems and stress and pressures. So we thought we should do something differently. I had worked in public facility, but there it was just like I would say people would come with pain, they were given painkillers, they were diagnosed, they were treated medically or surgically. But here we thought, you know, as Brahma Kumaris have, their strength is meditation, their strength is spirituality. Why not experiment with this treasure? Because we do understand that health is not merely the absence of disease or infirmity, but it is complete well-being, physically, mentally, socially, and spirituality. Well-being is related to quality of life. And these people, we thought, okay, it was something unheard that we would reach out to them. And I felt that, okay, if we cannot teach them meditation, we can teach them positive thinking. We can help them to get rid of smoking and other addictions. We can do that in the villages. And we started with simple. A Dutch sister who didn't speak Hindi, she started talking to them. And she started talking to them about positive thinking. So we thought we should do something differently. And we feel mind and body are interconnected and interdependent. And if the mind is at ease, the body would also be disease free. So the mind has to be at ease, and that's how we started experimenting. It's a holistic hospital, it's a hospital without walls, it's a hospital which integrates various systems of medicines, whether it is modern medicine, allopathy, we have homeopathy, we use magnets to treat mobility disorders, the pain, constipation, simple thing. And then we have Ayurveda, where we find that people who have chronic illnesses like rheumatoid arthritis or liver problems, they would benefit the most. And then we have rejuvenation therapies in Ayurveda, which is Panchkarma. In addition to that, we have a department of spirituality and well-being, where we try to reach out to those patients, whether they have family issues or whether they have any other problems. We teach them meditation, positive thinking. The counselor, even during the COVID times, she was there with her PP kit, protection kit, and she was talking to the patients. I found out that this makes a lot of difference. Talking to the patient not only about illness, but talking to them how they are feeling about, how they are being treated, how they are being taken care of. So that makes a lot of difference. So we try to thrust this objective, and we were supported by so many organizations, whether it was Smile Train or whether it was Orbis or whether it was, wherever we needed support, it was forthcoming. We look after children with eye problems, we look after children with orthopedic problems, we look after children with cleft lip and cleft palate. So the help was pouring like anything. We didn't have to ask for it.
It's amazing as you're describing, the word that comes to my mind is unlimited. And from my limited experience of visiting hospitals, I don't think I've come across a hospital that's so comprehensive and sounds like all 360 degrees. So everyone, I'm not going to be the only one who's has the fortune of asking these 2 great individual questions. There will be opportunity for you to also ask questions. So as I ask and they respond, if something is coming to your mind, keep a note of it, and then we'll open the floor to questions. So the way I've structured this is really looking at the facets of challenges that we experience in our lives. So the first one I want to start off with is what you touched on, is the people. And it's amazing what you shared, that how, help was coming from all front. You shared the example of Dr. Vinay Lakshmi, how she just, went and started this, and the rest is history. How does that, finding the right people, motivating them, and creating an environment where there is good relationship amongst the team? Because I'm sure, in your role as a director, the success happens when the team work very well. And I suppose for all of us, we may not be in those leadership roles, but we have a similar context in our community, in our home. So we want to draw upon that with what you share, how we can take it.
See, I'll share two stories. One is of a surgeon. He was practicing in Indore. I didn't know him personally. He just called me. He was staying in a hotel. Probably he was passing through difficult time. He said he would like to come and learn meditation. He came and stayed with us, and then he joined with us as a surgeon. And he stayed. He was an excellent surgeon, a GI surgeon. He stayed on, and he benefited from meditation, and we benefited from his expertise. So this is how it is just magic. Another story I would say, how people are so generous and kind. A gentleman who was professor of physics in Udaipur University, he retired from there, and he was in his 70s. He lost his wife and he was living alone. He came to me. We used to go to his place, which is about 150 kilometers from us. It's known as Jalore. And he wanted we should open up an eye hospital there. I said, sorry. I called him Babuji. It's not possible for us to go that far. We can come occasionally, organize an outreach activity. But he was persistent. Later on, I came to know he sold his house, invested in building an eye hospital for us, and as the destiny, during when the hospital was being built, he developed multiple myeloma. He passed away before we could start the hospital, and he had left about 5 million Indian rupees for equipment also. So like we say that we come empty-handed, we go empty-handed, but this man went back enriched because he made every penny into the service of the humanity. So that was the magic. I feel when you are doing for a good cause, good people get inspired. It is like, when your intention is good, when it is honest, I would say every action happens with a good intention. And when it happens, so many people join, and then the magic happens.
That's wonderful what you've shared. It's like you're checking our intention that it's good, and then the rest can fall in place. I want to now invite a comment from Brother Charlie here. What, in your experience, talking to many of the students at Brahma Kumaris and in many countries, what can one do to cultivate that, kindness? To say perhaps you may not be feeling that right away. Is there a way that, where does one start? And
sorry, Ami, cultivate, what was it?
That generosity, that kindness, that spirit of giving, where you feel, that you want to serve, you want to do something.
Yeah. Thank you. Excuse me, it's really lovely to be here, and so lovely to be with Dr. Pratap also. He's a dear friend of about 35 years, I think. I think so much in life is about intent. The motive in our actions and our interactions and our life and the way we do things. And I've always observed the Brahma Kumaris since the beginning have never really charged for anything we do. And I think, when things are offered from the heart and with love, sort of the universal laws of life kick in. That when you give with the feeling of, well, you want a good outcome for all concerned. When the intent is clean, the intent is pure, the intent is elevated, it creates a unique atmosphere. And I have great faith in humanity, which I think everyone sitting in this room has, in the sense that, today we're so cynical, so sarcastic about so much happening, and yet I think we yearn to step up, to join a movement or something that is for the betterment of this world. And I find that really when the intent is high, you find people just respond. It's almost like an automatic consequence.
So do you feel that there's something inherent in us that we all want to do?
I really do believe that strongly, because I think it's probably about 25 years ago, Dr. Vichar will remember, we did a project called Global Cooperation for a Better World. And I think that's when I met Richard and Maria, who are here tonight. And it was really people giving their vision of a better world. And we went into prisons, we went into refugee camps, we went into countries at war. And we found that underneath the negativity, the hurt, the pain, the anger, all the human stuff, people have a hope for something better. And I think that's what spirituality sort of kindles. It goes to that place to kindle that sense of hope, because it's the greatest power, a sense of hope. It's pretty hard to access, let's be honest. Unfortunately, in this world, I think it's getting more and more difficult. But I think people really want to do something to better the world. And, if you look, I know I have a friend who was working in Geneva with the United Nations, and he just said a lot of these people had huge careers in the world, but they had joined the United Nations because they want to make a difference. And I'm sure half the hall here is from that same place.
Yeah, I had a very good personal friend for the same reason. She went and invested her time to learn, I think, French, because that was one of the criteria to join United Nations. You had to know French, and I can't remember, there was the two languages, so I can relate to that. Thank you for sharing that, Charlie. I want to probe now Pratapa a little bit more on this financial aspect, because there is still, I'm sure, a little bit of skepticism on that aspect of, how you're able to operate a hospital of this magnitude and multiple hospitals and resource that on a day-to-day basis, where you don't have a funding source like from the government or a set income stream of fees coming, because as I understand, if patients say they can't afford it, they don't have to pay. So, very curious to see how that looks.
You rightly said in the beginning that no one is denied care only on the basis that he cannot afford to pay. So, in a way, whosoever comes to us, we try to do our best. And we have created certain, I would say, possibilities, avenues. And yes, people are poor, they cannot afford to take care of their therapy, and we have to take care of them. But once you start doing, as I said, people join you. So many magic have happened. Another story is that, like, if you start doing it, people join you, the local people, the religious organizations in India, they support a lot. And then the BKs worldwide, they support a lot. We have, like, the Australian Friends of Global Hospital, we have Janki Foundation in UK, which is supporting. Then we have a foundation in Germany, which was first to start. One of our friends, his name is Golo. Hospitals were closing in Germany. He was able to pick up all the equipment, and they initially was able to transport in a container to us. He himself dismantled everything and then came and assembled it there. And we used them for almost 20 years. Now we are in a position to buy the new equipment, but we managed with that equipment from Germany. There are still some of the hospital beds we are using. So I'll say it is a global cooperation. Everyone is contributing. Now the government also supports us. There is, last year we decided to put an MRI unit, and it's an expensive thing. It would cost about 100 million Indian rupees, more than that. And then we started raising money. People came forward from all across India, and then even then we were short. Then we approached the Indian Oil, which gave us the CSR money, almost covered the 50% of the cost. I would only say where there is a will, there is a way. Your intention should be pure. Once you have a pure intention, people do understand. Whenever they give us money, they scrutinize our accounts, they see everything. When they come and meet so many volunteers, out of a staff of 300, I have about 120 which are volunteers who do not draw any money from the hospital. We look after them, but they work as volunteers. They are psychiatrists, they are nurses, they are technicians, they are even sevadaris in kitchen. Everyone is contributing. So it's like, I would say, it's a something which you cannot explain. It happens. And it has happened all these years. We have been in function for almost 32 years. And these 32 years we have been able to cater. From one hospital, we started with a hospital in Mount Abu. Then we started a rural hospital which was known as G.V. Modi. Then we started an eye hospital. Now our eye hospital caters to almost 3 districts. And we have 6 specialists in glaucoma, pediatric. The children need care. The Rajasthan government gave us a project to look after the whole western Rajasthan schools. We screened the children, we treated them, we operated them wherever they require support. And then, then we started a nursing college. We thought we need nurses. Where would we get the nurses? Who would come to the rural area? So we started a nursing college. And then we started a trauma center because we were closer to a highway and accidents were happening. And before I came here, we were looking for a neurosurgeon. And someone from Delhi said, now I have done enough, I want to come and help you here. And he said he'll be joining on 1st of July. To find a neurosurgeon was a nightmare for me. But then he joined, and he joined on I would say, on a kind of is generous, with a little salary, he's joining us.
Amazing.
So it does happen. And I would say, yes, you have to invest in equipment, you have to invest in manpower, you have to pay them at market rates, because otherwise you won't attract the equally competent people. So we have surgeons, we have urologists, we have 2 physicians, we have an orthopedic surgeon. Everyone is doing his bit, and we try to provide the maximum care to the poor people. Now, at least after Mr. Modi took over, now we have a scheme there where the people who are below poverty line, their cost is covered by the government. So now it is happening, whether it is trauma or whether it is medical emergency, anyone who has that card, we call it Ayushman scheme, so then he gets free care. The insurance company would pay us. So this is happening. And even otherwise, there are so many, like we have site savers, we have Universal Eyesight. There are so many international charities who feel that they can invest in us. Because we have been in function, now they are coming to us that we would like to work with you. And they support us in taking care of a lot of patients. As I shared, Smile Train has been with us for last almost 16 years, and they cover the cost of surgery, the cost of speech therapy, the cost of orthodontic treatment for these children. They cover every penny, and they not only do that, and sometimes they invest in our equipment also. So, but then friends and well-wishers, the people who are students with Brahma Kumaris, they contribute, they feel it a privilege that whenever they come, we take care of them, they invest. So it has been like, I would say, His grace, and we are only instruments. It is happening. You don't even know what is happening.
I think you've shared the magic formula with us, because when you were sharing, I'm not sure whether you all felt that, but I felt like it was a story of abundance versus, of scarcity, which is what often we hear. And so it's very magical to hear how that powerful intent has led to the story. I want to still be a little bit critical on that one and ask you, Vichar, were there moments where you felt that this is too big of a task? And I'm kind of coming from an angle where I know many of us, when we embark on a project, there is an element of self-doubt going, will this happen? Will I get to my destination, Did you ever face that self-doubt?
See, major bottlenecks or challenges have been finding the right people. When you find the right people, then it becomes very comfortable, finding a new surgeon when the old surgeon leaves, people are ambitious, they move on to the bigger places. Finding an anesthetist is a challenge for me. And then a radiologist, these are the rare commodities. People don't want to come to smaller areas. So, but then we are lucky, we are persistent, we try to find the right people, and then it happens. It has been a big challenge. The rest of the things, like during COVID times, yes, it was a challenge. People were reluctant initially, but then, what makes some people move is that you have to work with them. You have to stand by them. Our surgeons and our anesthetists and our doctors voluntarily decided at that time that they would only receive 50% of salary because we were treating everyone free. And for those 3-4 months, they decided, even nurses, everyone decided voluntarily. And it happened. The local people came forward that time. Yes, you must have read in newspaper that oxygen was the major issue. But we were so lucky that people came forward. I personally didn't make a call, but people came forward. They put up an oxygen plant for us. We got liquid oxygen container, and then we got cylinders from Taiwan. The cylinders were not available in India. A Buddhist organization in Taiwan sent us the cylinders. So the challenges has been, but you need to have patience. I feel patience is one quality. In my experience of management, in my experience of working with people, you have to have a lot of patience. You need to respect them, you need to care about them, you need to overlook their shortcomings, and then the things start happening. There were challenges, there were difficulties, there were opposition. Even when we were starting the hospital, there were difficulties. But then, you need to go and explain people, make them aware about your work, and people do understand. I personally feel your integrity, your honesty, and your willingness to serve poor people really makes all the difference.
That pure intent that you started off with. That's, very, very beautiful and so inspiring to hear, isn't it? That the magic, of this pure intent and what it can unfold. Shani, I want to understand a little bit more on what I'd asked you earlier, but on the flip side of it, what's the benefit one can experience when they, embark on this journey where, the stories that Dr. Pratap shared where, from their heart they were saying, I want to only take 50% of the salary. And I know in this organization, we're all volunteers, right? So what, in your view, why people do it? What, what leads to it, what it creates?
Perhaps first of all, I might just mention, Ami has been calling me Charlie Bai. And
thank you.
A lot of you in the audience know that means brother. Once I was in South Africa and I was in a retreat, and the whole weekend people were calling me Charlie Bai. And one of the African participants asked me, why do they call you Charlie Bear all the time? You know, I think this thing of, you know, aspiring to goodwill is just such an important part of life. And I remember once I was reading an article that there was a World Psychiatrist Conference here in Sydney. And one of the speakers said the most emotionally, mentally, spiritually healthy people were the Mother Teresas of the world. Mm-hmm. And actually, you know, I really think a really beautiful life, a fulfilling life is when you give. Mm-hmm. And for me, at the heart of spirituality, in a way, the mode of life today, I think for a lot of us, is that we feel a bit empty. That's the nature of life. And so we're always trying to fill that emptiness with a sense of love or belonging or respect or something. And I often think of the mind like a vacuum cleaner. You know, you take in, but we take in all the insults and the disrespect as well. You know, we absorb everything. And yet I think the nature of spirituality is really to feel close to God and absorb, learn how to connect with God, absorb from God and give. And I think, you know, and we know the law of life says if the more you give, the more you receive. It's not that you even with intent want people to, you know, fill your heart with those feelings, but it's a natural consequence, I would say, of elevated action. And this is the whole sort of philosophy of spirituality. The more I experience from God and then I give in life, then life will fill my heart with what I need. And I think it's a very simple thing, but I think it's a powerful thing. And in a way, that's what Dr. Pratap's been talking about, the hospital. The hospital itself has a huge, generous heart. And I think many in this room have met Daddy Janki, who was the head of the Brahma Kumaris, who died a few years ago at the age of 104. And once we asked her, Daddy, of all your qualities, you know, she had so many amazing qualities, what's your most special one? She said, a generous heart. And I think a generous heart is a key to a beautiful life, a quality life, whether it's in the medical field, wherever I am in life, if I have that generosity of spirit, I think it's a very fulfilling life because of you feel fulfilled and you get that feedback, that response as well, even without looking for it.
Yeah, I remember reading a quote once which said, you know, when you give, you're actually the first one to receive. Because of that act of giving itself is a joy. Amazing, thank you for sharing that. As you were sharing about the spirit of giving, I was reflecting often, you know, in this giving, one can get quite drained, you know, quite tired. And so I want to understand from Dr. Pratap, you know, how can one sustain themselves? How have you sustained yourself in this, you know, unlimited giving and supporting the organization that's involved in this? How can we take care of ourselves as we navigate, you know?
See, you know, it's a very wonderful question. And I feel, you know, to be capable to serve, one has to have some amount of self-care. We all need to look after our own self. And I personally feel, you know, a sense of control in life and your commitment and your love for the humanity, it really sustains you. And one other thing which has helped me is my daily routine. We have morning meditation. We start our day early, and then I study, which we call our daily the dose of godly knowledge, or I would say the God's version, which we call Murli. This has sustained me a lot. And I feel, you know, the teachings of Brahma Kumaris, they create a shift in consciousness. It is kind of unlimited. You get that perspective which becomes unlimited. As as a family, this is an unlimited family. We are all children of the same Father. But we do understand, we do listen to this, but to work in that consciousness, to remain in that consciousness makes all the difference. We have understood, we have heard about whether it is Gita or whether it is other scriptures that tell us, but that consciousness should stay with you when you are in work. We call it like, people call it Karam Yoga, we would say that it is the practice, not meditation, but meditative way of life which supports you. You need to carry your meditation in your work. And once you do that, and once you act in that kind of understanding and that kind of awareness in your mind, then everything becomes easy. Challenges would come, stress or pressure would come, and we know that we cannot do away with pressure or stress, but we can definitely increase our internal strength to cope up with pressure. Dadi Janki, as Charlie, she used to say that you increase your ability, you increase, and the service opportunities would come to you. So we all have to focus on self-care, and self-care is very important. It requires some kind of commitment to our own self, whether it is physical health, whether it is mental health. We need to take the right kind of diet, we need to have regular physical activity, good sleep, good relationship. All these make all the difference. That would not only, as Sister Ami was telling, giving is something which enriches our life. I was in New York sharing a dais with one of the professors of bioethics. He authored a book and he gave me a copy, Why Good Things Happen to Good People. In his whole book he had said that if one word you want to keep with you for whole life, that is giving. If you give, you feel rich, you feel strong, you feel you are even protected from diseases also. Your immune system becomes strong. So it is like you need to look after yourself. Before you give others, you have to really enrich yourself.
Wonderful, thank you. And yeah, something we all need to really remind ourselves. And I loved what you shared about the routine. I suppose if it's routine, it becomes a bit easier, right? You don't have to think each time. Tell me, what about you? What's your self-care? Because you travel extensively as well, and I know you start 5 a.m. I often see messages from you at that time till quite late at night. How do you sustain yourself?
A bit the same as Dr. Pratap. For me, I also wake up early every morning, and my routine really is to sit like a child in front of God as the Supreme Being. And I love to, in a sense, become as simple as possible and really allow myself to be completely loved. And that somehow balances everything inside of me. And if there is a challenge or an obstacle, like that's what life is about today, everyone in this room has numerous, I find that when I really feel that love and that connection and that sort of sense of self-awareness, everything comes into perspective, You know how sometimes an issue comes and you blow it up into this great big story in your head, you give it so much power. It all comes back into perspective, and I love these days especially to not rush jump into conclusions about things, but to just stand back and observe, and then I think the right way of responding comes. But a little bit like Dr. Pratap was saying too, I think a lot of us have a belief or something that sustains us, but to try to integrate it into my life, my daily life, that's our challenge. You know how you meditate and you have a lovely feeling, and then as soon as you finish meditating, you just switch back to your old thinking, just straight back onto the old thinking. And I think what I try to do is really try to carry that feeling into my life, into my relationships. And of course, sometimes you're successful, sometimes not. But I think the whole idea of a spiritual lifestyle, not just a belief system that you practice on a daily basis. And I think life is like the classroom where you keep practicing, and as you do, you learn about yourself and how to sustain yourself and care for your heart and care for your mind. One thing that I've really learned in recent years is to put a full stop to overthinking. Because I find, the problem comes, the issue comes. We all have them. But we become a victim of our own thinking. We just go into this tsunami of overthinking, and it just takes you into all these dark places, and I really try to put the full stop. Once again, connect with the divine and get a perspective on absolutely everything. And always, it's not as big as you originally feel. So it's a sort of form of self-care in a way. I think caring for the mind today and the heart is so essential. And that's why meditation is just, I think, a massive tool for all forms of health, or mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, definitely.
Wonderful, thank you. Yeah, truly feeling inspired to, I think what I loved with what Brother Charlie shared is bringing this consciousness into action and really catching ourselves from that overthinking that we do. Dr. Pratap, being a medical doctor, imagine you're not seeing patients as such, but you're talking to many people each day. What do you feel is like a common, story or common theme around this type of obstacles or challenges that people in today's, life face? And the reason why I ask is I know the experience I have when I go and see, our local doctor. I have this big, range of symptoms that I tell him about, and he simply gives it a nice simple label. When he says that, he says, oh, okay, now I can relax. So, but from your perspective, both what Charlie I touched on, mental, spiritual level, like looking at it holistically, what do you think is a common challenge that we all facing today?
See, the modern medicine has researched a lot. We had studied stress, pressure, anger, what does it cause to body. But now the concept is positive psychology. What does positive emotions do to our health? So what does our lifestyle contribute to our health? So what we find is our living has become a principal cause of illnesses today, the way we live our lives. So I think what we need to do is we need to go to the basics. Like today people are talking of taking plant-based diet, having regular exercise, having good sleep, doing yoga, meditation, because people do understand that it is not the doctors and the hospital which contribute to our health. Health is our primary concern. When we fall sick, then only we go to a hospital. When we are not sick, we don't even remember doctors. So it is our own area. We have to go into that realm. But people, today if someone is overweight, he would think of bariatric surgery, not think of doing a lifestyle change. Anyone who is not able to sleep, they have sleeping pills. But we need to know why sleep is not coming, whether it is because of some anxiety or whether there is some other problem, whether I am not getting capable people to support me. Social support is not there. So we need to look at this aspect. We at Mount Abu did a research project on coronary artery disease. More young and young people are succumbing to heart disease. Heart disease can come out of blue and suddenly a person collapses. When I was reading, a cardiac surgeon, he died in his car. A person who's knowledgeable, it is because of our lifestyle. The amount of pressure we do, we go to the sleep maybe in the middle of the night, get up late, So this whole is disturbing. One of the gentlemen got a Nobel Prize on circadian rhythm. What does the biological clock is it? We don't go by our biological clock. No, in India we say early to bed and early to rise makes a person healthy, wealthy and wise. That is the old things need to come. We need to pay attention to our lifestyle. Today I feel if we pay attention to that, 50% of the illnesses would disappear. You know, 3 best selling drugs in the world market are either antihypertensive or some kind of anti-digestive like pantoprazole or anything, and tranquilizers. Companies are making fortune out of it. But these are the things which are manageable by our own self. We need to take stock of the situation and take charge of our lives. So once we take lifestyle is it, and as I was sharing that we did a study, this was supported by the Ministry of Defense. The heart patients came to us, people who had bypass surgery or angioplasty or they were having, and some of them were even asked, you are not fit for surgery. They came to us. They stayed with us for 7 days. They came with their spouses. We advised, we first made them aware about what heart disease is, what are the risk factors. Then we told them, now open up your mind. What has happened in your life? What kind of situation came? People came up with various issues. And then we call this opening the mind session. And then we gave them meditation. We taught them what is the right kind of diet which they should be taking, physical activity, their psychological counseling, and then we repeated their angiograms after 6 months. And there was amazing results. And the results were proportionate to the compliance. You know, we cannot do meditation for people, we cannot do exercise for them, we cannot modify the diet. They come to us and then they go back. They come for after 6 months. And people who had followed the regime, they improved, their arteries opened up. People who couldn't walk 100 meters, now they were able to complete their walk, their daily routine. So this is, you know, this study has been published in the Indian Heart Journal, and it is now widely accepted that if stress can cause disease, relaxation or meditation can reverse the disease also. The same is true for diabetes. Diabetes again, you know, it requires some kind of discipline. So, you know, today in Mount Abu Hospital, we are starting a group for diabetic patients. We only tell them what is required to be shared with them. We tell them about foot care, how to care about their eyes, how to care about their diet, and how do they really care about their exercise. Yes, the more important is our relationships. It is our role in relationship which causes more pressure or stress. So then the meditation comes into play. Meditation is nothing but it is thinking good of your own self and good of others, and inculcating certain values in life. So that makes the magic. So we are very happy with these results, and now we have a queue of patients. And when we started the program, we had only 5 patients for cardiac program. Now every time we receive 50 patients, 50 their spouses, they come for course, they stay with us, and we don't charge anything. They voluntarily contribute. They feel the responsibility that, okay, this program needs funding, and they voluntarily contribute. And we are very happy with this thing. And in the future, we are planning that we should start these programs for cancer patients. We should start these patients for people who are addicted to alcohol and tobacco. So we would be doing in the future these programs also.
Amazing. I love what you shared about, you know, taking care of ourselves and really preventing these diseases. And you'll be happy to know you're sitting in the right place if you want to start your journey, if you are not already on the journey to learn meditation. We have Learn to Meditate courses starting every month, so make sure you visit reception before you go if you haven't already done one and you want to sign up for our course. So I want to now also give you the opportunity to ask questions. So we can have a roving mic. Who has the mic? Okay, Vichar has the mic. So if you just want to put your hand up, and if I can request only one question, if you can ask, so one question per person. And yeah, so please just put your hand up, and we'll come to you. Yeah, we've got a gentleman here.
Hi everybody. Some of us are not having much problem or any problem in our life at this point of time. How to ensure that this remain till we are alive?
So if I understand correctly, your question was, I currently don't have problem in life. How can I make sure I continue to be like this, not have
I
problems?
would say this is the right question, what you have asked yourself. Because what we invest today in our health, this is going to reflect maybe 10 years later or 15 years later. Because if I'm doing regular exercise, I'm caring about my diet, my next 20 years will be safe. We are ensuring ourselves. So you asked right, because we need to understand now everyone is talking that plant-based diet is the best diet, which not only protects us, but it also promotes health. It also adds years to our life. And the same is about commitment to your own self, caring about your own self. So these all things have been studied very well. Like when I was talking of giving, people have come out with personality traits. There was a book known as Immune Powered Personality. Like there are certain traits in our life which would promote our immune system, our Department of Defense. Whether it is helping others, whether it is commitment to your work, having some control in your life, and then self-complexity. We are not just on one pillar, but there are so many pillars. We have hobbies, we support our family, we love our work. All these things promote our immune system. So it's very important to start at early age.
Wonderful. Here's the question at the back.
Thank you for such an insightful career journey that you have provided us, Dr. Pratham. I'm a GP and practicing in Western Sydney. Could you please give us some pointers about the next generation, especially the Generation Z who have grown up with the smartphones from age 10? And how do we inspire them to give and also make sure that they are following a spiritual path and also be able to inspire them into the path of righteousness and spirituality, especially in this age of social media and other distractions that you must be aware of already?
I'm sure Charlie would answer this question.
This is a very common question these days. I think you have a smartphone as well, is that right? And I think, I don't think it's just young people, right? I think we're all sort of the victims of our technology in a way. But I do find that so many people come to our centres these days all over the world, and they're really concerned about everybody, family members, especially young people. And really I feel the best way is to become the example myself, because when I live it, that's what they will learn. And I think when I become an example myself, and we can't change others, but I can change myself. And we all know that certain people in our lives who've really changed, maybe they were very angry and aggressive and they become very soft and loving. It's absolutely inspiring, isn't it? So I really feel that they learn from not what you say, but who you are as a person. And I think when we have time free from phones, we really show in my attitude a love and care for other people. We practice a spirituality. Almost inevitably, some of that, it may not now, but in later life, that will be a part of their life too. it's easy to talk about, isn't it? All these things are so easy, but to actually live it, the example is the most powerful thing. Once I heard a quote from Albert Schweitzer or something like that, is that leadership is not example is not the best form of leadership. Example is the only form of leadership. It's true. We can all be very articulate and intelligent about how things should be. We can all sermonize to others. But when we see someone living, it's very powerful. And I think when young people see us living these sorts of things. But, you know, I feel at the moment in our world, so many of our human family are struggling so deeply. It's a really difficult world. And often I think that our attitude, and I love the way really Dr. Vichar I've seen in the hospital, he has this attitude of compassion. You know, it's so easy to jump and judge everyone, but we might look good on the surface, but I think for most of us, life is a battle internally on many levels. And I think if we can offer that sort of compassionate attitude to the other, just our vision, I think, has a big influence on people. You know, when you meet somebody, you can feel their vibrations, you can feel their feelings. And I think that when we spread goodwill, pure feelings and goodwill, and really what I've learned in the Brahma Kumaris is about this, because when Ami was asking Dr. Vichar, you know, what about people and working with people, so you know the most common question in all our centres all over the world, and we've got many, many, many thousands of them, how to deal with difficult people. Everyone, because we've lost our own human resources, we've become so vulnerable and so weak. Every little attitude of another person, different opinion, disturbs me deeply, and then I project it back on them. So we're in this cycle of blame and projection. And I think spirituality says that I am responsible for how I feel, and I think, you know, when I become responsible and have that elevated attitude, it really has a positive influence on everyone, especially young people too.
Thank you. Yep, there's one at the back and then we'll come to the front.
My question is, considering you've come across so many people who have given, who are the people who give the most? Is it the super rich, or is it common people like maybe most of us in the crowd? And is it something in your genetics which makes you a giver, or is it a trait which can be learned? Because, well, I've personally felt where I've sometimes wanted to give, but there has been some barrier, whether it is in my heart or my mind.
Well,
Dr.
you know,
Vichar
I was
nephew.
just, as Chaliman was saying, I read a book by Dalai Lama on compassion. He said compassion is a human quality. It's not a divine quality. All of us have inherent quality of compassion. When we see someone we feel like helping them. But sometimes we maybe because of some reasons we withdraw. I think we need to prepare ourselves, and it as right thing is our consciousness. And I personally feel that giving is something, as I said, you know, this gentleman has written a book on giving. And giving is something which is very vital to the survival of humanity today. Humanity needs support. Everyone needs support, whether it is a smile or whether it is a helping hand. I'm not talking of finance, the money part, but even otherwise, if you speak a kind word to someone, how much difference does it make? There was a journalist, she had come for a retreat in Mount Abu. She shared her story. She used to go for a walk in one of the gardens in Delhi. And there was one gentleman who would be running and without even seeing that someone else is walking, would never bother. And she would always have question, what kind of person is this? And one day she decided, okay. One day when that person was coming, she just greeted him. And that day all the difference was made. Then next time he was very polite, he would give her way. someone has to make a beginning. And it is very important that money comes the last, I would say, but it is our attitude. It is our compassionate attitude. We can make a lot of difference to people's lives, whether it is family or whether it is workplace. If we have kindness in our attitude, it makes all the difference. And I'm sure we all have that experience, someone speaking softly to us, whether we are at the railway station or in a post office. We can never forget that. That man is doing his duty, he is being paid for it. But the way he spoke to you, that you remember for years together. So it is our attitude, it is our way of thinking which makes all the difference. Not the money part, not the material part.
I heard someone say that if you want love, give it. If you want respect, give it. If you want cooperation, give it. Because that's the law of life, isn't it? Because when that intent is clean, life will deliver back to you really what you need. And I really love the idea personally that, today often we're trying to get things. We're always out there trying to acquire whatever it may be, material or whatever. And then I think when you're really in a good state of mind, a positive, you have self-respect and you give respect, life will give you what you need. It comes naturally, and even materially as well. What is required will just come in a natural way.
So there's this question here, and unfortunately we're then going to be out of time to take more questions. So maybe what we'll do is...
Sister has been waiting too long.
She's been waiting, I think she's on your...
Okay, sorry. So maybe last one, and then after this, please talk to us after the program. We'll be happy to answer any questions.
Just a quick question to Dr. Pratap. At your hospital in Mount Abu, how much emphasis is given on the Ayurvedic treatment compared to allopathic treatment? I just thought I would get this question. Thank you.
This was a challenge for me, to integrate all the systems of medicine, and I failed to do so. Because what happens is, every system of medicine is different. But now what we do is, people know that we have the facility, and if they want to go for Ayurveda, we encourage them. But integrating, asking a modern medical man to send the patient to Ayurveda, it is not working. But yes, Ayurveda has strength in rejuvenating. It is kind of a promotive healthcare. It tells you how to handle your life. People like Sirodhara for sleep problems. So people come here, they take the therapy, they feel good. Now Ayurveda is becoming popular in India. More and more people are coming from outside India to get Ayurvedic treatment, particularly Kerala and other places. So we have a small department of Ayurveda where we get trainees who want to come and learn, and then patients also come, those who benefit. So it's like a personal choice.
Pratap, thank you so much for the insightful and informative session. This question is for Charlie Vai. Just after the meditation and soon after we started the discussions, I had a sensation, a very surreal experience, a sensation in my third eye. I just couldn't make sense of it, and I was just thinking probably it's this vibration in this place, because I'm a regular meditator. I've never experienced that, or maybe once I have. But today I don't know what happened, very surreal, and this vibration in the third eye chakra that stayed for a while. So I'd like to get some insights from you.
Thank you. The understanding of the eternal self, the soul, the consciousness, is that it sits around the pituitary gland, in the front of the brain. Excuse me. And when I began to meditate, a similar thing happened to me, because it's almost like, the awareness of self almost creates a physiological sensation. It can be different for different people. Because the reality of life, according to the spiritual understanding, is that I am an eternal soul. I've lived before this body. I move into the womb and sit on the forehead, and then I forget the self and I adopt this whole consciousness of the body. And when I begin to meditate, the whole purpose is, in a sense, to reinstate that eternal awareness of the true self, that in fact the reality of life is that I am a soul. And in a way, the first step of meditation is a whole journey, and it's a journey of life really, which is self-realization. I, the soul, am beyond all the labels of gender, color, religion, culture. And look at our world at the moment. And I think that one of the main ways we can change this world, change society, change the family, is to change myself and become soul conscious. In other words, I live in a soul conscious state, and I see others in this way too. Yeah, and that's why when you start to become aware, this feeling, gentle feeling, can happen, not to everybody, but it can happen, yes.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you to everyone for your questions. My apologies, we won't be able to take any more questions, just to stay on time, but please feel free to talk to any of us afterwards, and we'll be happy to answer. So your question is a good segue into the next part of our program. We do want you to have another meditation experience to really help us consolidate all this wonderful wisdom that both Brother Charlie and Dr. Pratap have shared with us tonight, and take this as an opportunity to experience it and experiment with it. So once again, our wonderful Sister Priya, with a beautiful voice and powerful meditation, will lead us into this experience. Sitting comfortably. I return my awareness to my breath. I breathe deeply, and with every breath in and every breath out, I consciously relax my body. I feel the energy of my body very gradually begin to settle into stillness. And when I'm ready, I guide my attention to the center of my forehead. This is where I, the living being, the soul, am sitting deep within. This is the seat of consciousness in my body. This place where I create my thoughts. And with my mind's eye,
visualize the form of the self as a soft white star. Gently resting between my brows. It is from this place that I, the living energy, am able to restore harmony to my overall well-being. For health is not just of the body, but health is a result of this harmony between the energy of the soul, the mind, my emotions and feelings, and my physical body. And health is also determined by the quality of my relationships with those in my world. And so I take a moment to exercise the power of pure intention through my thoughts. And from the center of my forehead, where I reside, I feel the vibrations of love, the vibrations of pure intent radiating out towards those with whom I have a connection of love and care, but also I send these vibrations of pure light filled with love to those with whom I may have challenging relationships. I take the opportunity in this moment to share through my thoughts a wave of loving acceptance from my generous heart. I feel these waves of love radiating outwards as I give my energy in the form of these loving thoughts. Sending them out into the world. Just like the waves of the ocean. And the more these waves flow from my being, I feel the waves flow back towards me in this beautiful exchange. Of love, of generosity, and positive energy. And now, with my mind's eye, I visualize in the distance above me a beautiful white star. And this star is radiating its light like the spiritual sun. And I simply allow myself to absorb the powerful, energizing rays of this divine light. The light of God, the Mother and Father of all souls. And as I feel God's light flow into my being, I am able to give this light. And I become an instrument, a conduit. I'm no longer giving from my limited capacity, but my capacity becomes unlimited because I'm just allowing the pure light of the divine to flow through me and into the world. And this light is the light that has the power to heal the hearts, both my heart and the hearts of every soul in the world. So for the next few moments, I continue to visualize the light from the divine above me, flowing through me, recharging me spiritually, and radiating out as waves of love to the entire human family and to nature. And the more I practice this consciousness and prepare to carry it into my everyday life, this light will become a beacon of hope for all who journey with me in life. Now I return my attention to my breath. And my body. And when I'm ready, I gradually return to this room and to my surroundings.
We do not wish for this evening to be over. But we have reached that time. I do not also want to bring you out of that powerful silence that we are all in the midst of. You can't hear? It's, oh, yeah, okay. So I was just saying, I really do not want this evening to end, and I also do not want you to, to bring you back from that silence. So a heartfelt thanks to Dr. Pratap for journeying all the way from India to be in the midst of us and share this amazing wisdom, and also to Charlie. What I have taken as 4 things from tonight is the power of pure intent, the power of giving, importance of self-care, and meditation to really manage our mind, you know, as the preventative measure. So, yeah. As I said, you know, if you are new, haven't started on the journey, please do speak to our reception to learn more. And also, if you're inspired today to, you know, learn more about the Global Hospital or support the work that Global Hospital does, you can check out the website of the Australian Friends for Global Hospital, which is AF4GH.org.au, and you will see a couple of people with a name tag in green and white colours, so feel free to reach out to them as well for more information. And last but not least, if you are inspired to support the work of the Brahma Kumaris Australia and supporting some of the activities we do here locally, also speak to the reception. And also, if you want to contribute financially, we have donation box at just as you step out of the hall and also at reception. So greatly appreciate any help you provide, and a lot of giving that we've been talking about. So I'm sure in that giving is receiving. Last but not least, I want to convey a big thanks to the team that's pulled this together. So the group from the Australian Friends for Global Hospital, who were key in you know, inviting Dr. Pratap and this evening, all the volunteers from our sound team to, you know, many working behind the stage. Also, I want to acknowledge Maria, who's put together this beautiful flower arrangement for us. So yeah, it's wonderful, and also to all of you to be here with us tonight. And as a token of our appreciation, and also, like, you know, for an opportunity for you to have that brief interaction and exchange that good energy from both Dr. Pratap and Charlie, we'll invite you to come and take what we call a blessing card, which has a nice positive you know, few sentences written for you and about you. So when you read it, take it like that. And also, if you kind of feel a little bit skeptical, is this right about me? It is right about you. So, you know, feel it's a blessing that you are receiving. And also there is a sweet, which we call Toli, and this one has been made specially in a meditative state, so it contains that extra power and good vibrations. So enjoy both of it. So we'll shortly arrange this so we can then get you to come row by row. Just come and yeah, take both from Charlie and Pratap. And yeah, once again, so happy that you're all with us tonight, and thank you very much. And just the allergy advice on the sweet that you're going to be receiving, it does have, it's gluten-free, but it does have butter. So. and sorry, it's also got almonds, so anyone with nut allergies, please be aware. Yes.
good that you made it. आप VIP प्रोग्राम में नहीं आए, मैंने आपको इंट्रोड्यूस करवाना था आपसे। मैंने भेजा तो था आपको, VIP स्पेसिफिकली भेजा था कि 3 बजे आ जाना पहले, इंट्रोड्यूस करवाऊँ आपको। हाँ नहीं नॉट दिस वन, आपके 2 है ना। जल्दी आ जाओ, VIP वाले प्रोग्राम से।
Sorry.
Amazing job as well. Just a beautiful center. All these years I've been going to students I used to be tomorrow. He gave up himself. He gave us a lot of
Come to reception. So I'll see. So if you see me, it's like I'm
virtual world.
Are you coming?
I'm coming.
Yeah.
I used to tell you I'm doing we went down to because it's like there is a connection. Yeah.
Did you come with your
Yes. And I grew up Greek. I'm from the Greek town. Greek. America. Yeah. Dad's here. Yeah. My sister and mum. Because I was listening to my bed. My sister was listening to my mum. Then my husband
I'm so sorry. How we go.
That's your small guarantee. I don't go there. I come to yeah. You go on whichever locations.
She rang me while I was there. Yeah.
She's a singer.
The other day. So I went into the
Yeah, they opened up one in Broad Street.
Oh yes, she told us.
Yeah. So when I bumped into you and Trisha last time, I mean, such a small world. We're in the same building. And how long has she been living in the building?
Oh no, she only started living in there probably about 6 months ago. Because prior to that she was going back and forth.
Yeah, when I left home, Mum and Dad, I said downstairs.
Yeah, you went to one of the first.
You were, I think you were there on Beach Airways when I was moving.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You went to
so-
Willow Creek. I think you were one of the first ones in the block or something.
Yeah, when we're just getting completed. Yeah. Destiny plays along because I tried to find this place. I got a deposit to buy a half of land and then to make sure Mum and Dad were it. And Dad wasn't there.
I remember all that.
Yeah, I told you so. I said, you don't do anything on this one. Your mind's not saying you're not happy. You're behind the scene. Don't do it. Pulled out. Yes, and then Destiny came back. The one I put in the deposit, they said on top once. It's gone. I now that you're ready 5 years later, it's gone 4-bedroom, we need a big place. We live in East End. You know, if it's meant to be, then I went back and I said, you know,
This is what he was talking about.
yeah.
So what are you going to do anything with it? It's just such a beautiful looking soul, isn't he? Such a beautiful. And he came from India today, like what, 1:30? Yeah, and going, you know what? The nursing home just is great for meditating. Yeah. So I don't know if they're ringing for medication or something. Oh, she's had a call. Yeah, that's where I went. That's maybe it's sister Sora. Same sex. Yes, your face. I don't remember the name, but I'm like, I know her. I don't know about the toast part, but they know that I know her voice.
YouTube channel.
Good. Have you been watching?
Not much.